My name is Nevros, Nazarko, and I was born in the country of Albania and the city of Erseka, spelled E-R-S-E-K-A. I was born there in a small village that I was part of a family who, my dad had 5 other kids, or 6 children altogether, and it was a tough and hard childhood that I endured and grew up as a child because of many reasons. The main one being that Albania during my childhood was under the communist regime, and it did not provide even the basic necessities for the children, for my family of course, and for other families, but for the children as well. To give you a couple of points as to how hard the childhood was, is that many times we had to go to bed without having eating dinner. A lot of times we ate twice a day, and the food even was not nutritious enough to sustain a normal childhood. Furthermore, going to school up until the 4th grade, we went to the village, which was a few 100 yards away from the house. But then starting with 5th grade, as probably is the norm in many other Eastern European countries, we had to walk an hour from home to school and back. And this takes, this even in the worst conditions of the weather, such as snow, raining and all that. There was no missing days of school because it was snowing day out there, or a rainy day. And that continued for me from the 5th grade till I finished high school. I was one of the fortunate ones to finish high school, because many of my peers, my friends, did not get that chance to go to high school because the communists did not allow everyone of a certain background to go to high school. And I mean that certain background, meaning that if your heritage, family heritage, was such that you're not of the communists during the World War II, you did not get a chance to go to high school, much less college. Almost, it's safe to say that between 40 and 50% of the youth did not get a chance to graduate from high school because of that reason. My family, being on the wrong side of the fence, against the communists, my grandpa fought against communists in World War II. My dad did not get a chance to ever finish high school, and I was very close not to. The only reason I was fortunate enough to do it is because in the city where I walked to finish the 8th grade education, the high school opened, a high school kind of like a, not so up to standards, but a sub-standard high school opened up, and I had to, I was fortunate again to get the chance to finish high school.
What did your father do?
My father worked in a farm. He finished the 7th grade, and because back then that was the highest you can go before high school, 7th grade. So he worked in the farm, and he worked hard to raise a family, as I said, of 6 kids, and him and my mom as well. So they both worked day and night. They did not, and it's hard for some people to believe, to relate to that, people especially who were born in the United States, that he did not, my parents never had a day off in their lives, as far as I can remember. And I left Albania when I was 26 years old. But up until I left, up until communism fell, people who worked in the farm, and keep in mind that they did not work for them in their own farms. The farms were the cooperatives that government owned, so to speak, but you just didn't have a choice but to go there, work from morning to night, and then come home and bring home 2 loaves of bread. That was the payday for my parents.
What big city were you near?
I'm sorry?
What big city were you near?
Korça was the biggest city, which was a city of 60,000. I was born and raised and lived in very close to the border with Greece. Oh. So the village where I was born is like an hour away from Greece in walking distance. Oh. And the biggest city was Korça, and then 3-4 hours away with a car was the capital city of Tirana, which at that time was not more than 200,000 population. Right now, after communism fell, has swelled up to almost 1 million people.
Tirana?
Tirana, yeah. That's the capital city. I left in early 1990s, 1990 to be exact, and I fled Albania to go to Greece. I always wanted to come to the United States because my family has a long history of relations with the United States. And when I say my family, is that my grandfather and his brother came to the United States in 1912, 1913. And they stayed here for 5-6 years. My grandpa came back and created a family, part of which I am. But his brother stayed here. And after 1945, when communists came to power, my uncles and aunts, a lot of them fled Albania and they came to the United States. And actually, they lived in the Detroit area. That's why I came to this place as well. Now, another reason why I wanted to come, or the main reason why I wanted to come to escape Albania was because of the unbearable conditions that the communists had created. So I fled on foot along with a friend of mine. We went through the mountainous border between Albania and Greece, and it was a cold, rainy, kind of like a sleet and snow day of January of 1991. When we both decided, my friend, myself and my closest childhood friend, who happens to be in the United States as well now, we fled Albania and we went to Greece. And there we applied for political asylum, meaning that we wanted to get protection, political asylum, refugee status from the Greek government, which they gave it to us. And at that time, we expressed our desire to go to the United States, and then the paperwork started. We went to the American Embassy, applied for asylum at the American Embassy, and we were granted the asylum a few months afterwards. And from Greece, I stayed in Greece for approximately 8-9 months. Then I was flown to New York, and then from New York to Detroit, where that's where I intended and wanted to live. Now.
Who'd you leave behind?
I left behind all my family, meaning that I was 26 years old at that time, and I left behind my parents and my 5 other siblings. It was at the time when the communist, when I left, the communist was on its last leg, and I shouldn't use the word depressed, but I was not optimistic that the Albania will ever come out of communism. We saw the fall of the Berlin Wall. We saw the fall of the dictatorship in Romania and the fall of Ceausescu. And seemingly nothing was happening in Albania. I didn't see or anything there to make me optimistic or to realize that things were going to change, for good in Albania.